So we have today here Mads Buchardt from Buchardt Audio. Thank you very much to finding time to come on my channel and speaking about the new E50 speaker that you guys are going to launch today. But before to moving on this, maybe you can, if you would like to tell us about your background and how you first become interested in hi-fi.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Mads Buchardt, and I came into hi-fi in a quite odd way. I started working in a music store when I was only 17 years old. I sold instruments there and learned to repair instruments. My father was a piano tuner all my life, and he was the one that has had 2 stores here in Denmark. So I started working at the store where he wasn't at, not to work at the same place as my father. But I learned a lot about music and instruments, and I've of course played instruments myself my whole life. I played drums for the most of my life, and when I started working in the store, I started playing guitar and also piano. And I came into hi-fi at the age of 20 when I started my first company with one of my best friends at the time that were an engineer or starting to be an engineer into audio. Here in Denmark, a lot of engineers are going the audio path as
Yeah.
it's a country where there are just so many great educations and facilities for becoming audio engineers, and basically hi-fi is a big deal here in Denmark. So we decided to start a company where we sold DIY parts for people that want to build speakers themselves. We also designed kits for people that want to build some of our own kits, but it's basically all the components that goes into building a speaker, like crossover components, drivers, and all that. So after a few years, that was back in 2008, we started that company. We couldn't grasp that when you're going into hi-fi stores, why good quality speakers are that expensive as they are. So we thought that we could build speakers that are better than that for less money. So we decided to start a new company that was then going to be Buchardt Audio, and that was back in 2013. But unfortunately, my partner at the time, Kasper, that worked on many of the speaker designs, his girlfriend got pregnant, which was not planned. So he couldn't be a part of the company because as a new startup, you don't make any money, and you probably won't do that for many years to come. So he handed me all the drawings for the speakers that we have prepared, and then I was basically alone to get it all up and running and find a way to produce them and start selling them. So that was the start of Buchardt Audio, and I spent many years on slowly building the company, and I choose to go consumer direct instead of selling to stores at the time, because they want so high of a margin, so the speakers will just become too expensive. So I decided to go the consumer direct route, and it took a lot of years, many years, without earning any money. All the money that I earned were reinvested into the company so it can slowly build up. And it was just driving around all of Europe to go to the different audio shows and showcasing our products and shipping products out to reviewers, and they were very well received out there. So it slowly started to work out, but it was still not something that I could live on. So it wouldn't bring me a salary. So I had to do some night shifts and working some other jobs to make a living as well, while I was doing building the company. So one of the things that really made it explode the brand was that one of my very good friends as well from he was extremely talented at doing marketing. So we decided that he should of course join the company, and from there it kind of went nearly too fast. But yeah, I had all the reviews to back it up. That was very good, and there was a lot of people talking about it, but it was still hard to get out to the customers that way. But he helped a lot with that, and yeah, the rest
Mm.
was is history, and we built the company very fast from there. And yeah, so now we are with a
Yeah.
new launch. We don't do extremely many different speakers. We take a lot of time to properly design and build our products. So we have a few speakers that we think are very well engineered and put together. And this new E50 is kind of a hallmark of what we have done and all the work we have put into it so far. And it is also coming out of our brand new cabinet facility. So we are doing all the work ourselves, and it's built from
Oh,
nearly all Danish parts, both from the
okay.
Scandic tweeter to the Purifi woofer, to the binding post and the crossover components. And the only thing that are actually not from the EU, sourced from the EU, is the passive radiators. So
Okay.
it's a very it's a speaker that we are extremely proud of. Yeah.
Okay, we will speak also about this, and I think yeah, it's such a competitive market today. There are a lot of brands. I mean, when you go at the show, it's crazy how many brands are out there, and you're asking yourself how this all these brands are going to survive, you know, because it's a niche
Yeah.
products material, and it's crazy. I don't today I still don't understand it, you know. And how big is Buchardt Audio today? How many people are involved in the productions line?
One of the key or the core things about Buchardt is that we have always tried to optimize our business very
Hmm.
much. So we wanted to have as few employees as possible, and doing as with having a few employees that are very dedicated to the work they do. And so right now we are actually only 6 people. So that is
Okay.
in comparison to our size and how many
Hmm.
speakers we do sell. That is very few people to manage all that. But it is really to try to optimize on all parameters that are not compromising the speakers itself, so that we can sell a product as cheaply as possible, providing the highest value as we think is possible in this speaker world. But yeah, like you say, there is a lot of competition out there. There is
Yeah.
so many. So and it's a small niche, selling speakers, and especially in this high end category.
Mm.
It's not ultra cheap speakers that we do. And yeah, there is a few buyers, but a lot of a lot of brands out there. But I think
Yeah.
we are providing something that are different and interesting.
I like when the first time that I visit your website that you are highlight that you are using excellent components in the crossover.
Yeah.
You are using binding posts that, by the way, are not be wiring, something that I like because I don't know, I don't see any need to have a B wiring or B amp in a bookshelf speaker. But it looks like you are using excellent components that probably are part of your distinctive sounds. You can speak about it, please?
Mm. Yeah, well, the crossover components is something that when you start to look into to speakers, if you that is often a place where many are saving a lot of money
Mm.
to bring the cost of the speaker down, because it's a thing that people don't see, but it is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it is the heart of the speaker. It is as important as the driver quality is. So to us, the components quality are extremely important, and that is typically where you will see how much value you get out of our speakers in comparison to similar priced speakers out there. So yeah, it's of course a way to tune a speaker to gain or to get your house sound. And I do believe that our sound is a very neutral presentation. It's we always design for a reasonably flat frequency response, but
Mhm.
it's still due to the component choices, it's still a little bit of a laid back sound. It's not as much in your face as some other speakers are. So I want a speaker to be enjoyable to listen to for many hours. I also want a speaker that is not very genre specific. So you need to be able to play a lot of different types of music. Even poorly recorded music should be bearable to listen to, which is not the case for all speakers out there. So yeah, component choice are very important for us.
Yeah, more I review speaker, and more I see also a tendency to sometimes boost a bit the top end, something that I have to figure out if it's done for because is customer is the a customer request or a feedback or something like this. Do you guys are taking also the feedback, and how you guys receive feedback from the customer?
Yeah, I think the reason why the modern sound of speakers have a tendency to be very forward and bright and typically have a boosted high frequencies is that when people are listening to speakers in a shop, they are typically listening to a lot of different speakers, and we know from research that brightly tuned speakers are typically preferred when you're doing A/B testing against each other because they sound more detailed and clear, and it sounds like you get something worth your money. You get a more detailed speaker. But the problem with that is when you get them home and start to spend a lot of hours on them, it can be quite fatiguing to many to listen to it. It could also be that that many audiophiles are not extremely young anymore, so the top end of the hearing tends to drop off as you get older. But yeah, we do get a lot of feedback, and we do in generally hear that our speakers are either perfectly tuned, but otherwise they are to the warm side, and that is also a preference for what people like. I think why people say our speakers are warm is because it is comparison to nearly all speakers are being very bright. So if you of course if you take a look at the measurements, it doesn't show that our speakers are warm. It's actually quite the opposite. It will it might even look like it has a bit more high end frequency energy than most others. But we not only, of course, we follow measurements as we use it as a tool, but we spend most of the time doing listening tests and testing different components and stuff like that to get the sound as we wanted it to be.
I think it's nice to have each company with a sound signature, so the customer can find the right speaker for them,
Yeah,
you know, because that's actually what I'm trying to do when I review a speaker. I'm trying to let my personal taste a little bit away from this, and
yeah,
trying to address the speaker to the right person. So let's speak about the new speaker, the new E50.
yeah,
Maybe what's meaning E50 first of all, and then I will ask you about the Purifi woofer. That
yeah.
actually I was going to ask you why you still didn't use it in a passive speaker, and finally it's here.
Yeah. There's a good reason for that. But yeah, firstly, the name E50. It's well, when we started naming our speakers 11 years ago, we started with the S200 and the S300.
Yeah.
No particular reason for that. Maybe it's speaker, maybe it's superior. I think customers can can use their imagination there. But
Okay.
it is more to kind of divide it from the S series that we have done so far. We also have the P 300, which is a cheaper speaker that you have reviewed. So that the E class, that is sort of a high end new series. So there will be more speakers in that class, the E segment. So yeah, it's mainly just a name. It doesn't have a
Okay.
particular meaning other than something that might be easy to remember for people out there.
But so we can say that we have P, S, and E, a sort of budget, medium class, and high
Yeah,
end, something like that.
yeah.
Okay.
And,
All
and
right.
then we have the A, which is the active series.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Okay. And what about the Purify woofer? I heard good things about it. How you
Yeah.
guys you use it on active speaker and first and now on passive. Tell me more about it because I found it really interesting. It's look a little bit strange, maybe,
It does.
but
I'm not. I'm not. I think you get used to it. The look of the
yeah.
woofer, and typically in pictures, it's also exaggerated how it really looks in
Okay.
reality. But yeah, it was actually, we were close to not even using the Purify woofer because I thought it was so ugly. But
Mm.
you couldn't take away that for our type of design and what we want to achieve with our speakers, which is that we want to have as much sound as possible in a compact, elegant design, so that our
Mhm.
speakers will be an easy sell to the wife maybe at home. But it just fits the bill so well for our type of designs, because the Purifier woofer, it does some things that are remarkable. It has been a crazy engineering project for Purify, and it is really taking the driver technology a huge leap forward. So for our type of designs, it is without any question the best woofer in the world to use, because if you want a woofer that produces both bass frequencies and mid-range in a two-way, like most of our speakers are, then it's just remarkable what it can do. It can sound very clean because it has ultra low distortion. It doesn't tend to make the soundstage fall apart when you are cranking the volume, and it just has a lot of qualities, and it can move a lot of air. It can really
Mhm.
move like a long stroke subwoofer can. So it's a crazy driver, but it's also
Okay.
really expensive.
Mm.
And it's built here in Denmark, and
Yeah.
we of course we know the engineering team behind them. We have worked
Mhm.
with them for years. We used the Purify woofer back with our A500 signatures for the first time. That's a few years ago, and it has just worked out so well for us. And we haven't really used it in a passive speaker until now because, of course, it's expensive, so it needs to be in a
Mm.
high end series, which is the E50. So that's the first one. The big drawback of the Purifier woofer is that it has very low sensitivity. That is simply the trade off of having a
Mm.
long stroke design. So you can get different variants of the Purifier woofer. They have what's known as an M, and which is a
Mm.
mid-range. It has not very long stroke, but it has high sensitivity. And then you
Yeah.
have the W design, which is for woofer, which is a one that has kind of a normal stroke length like we have in the S400 with a normal driver. And then you have the X variant, and the X
Mhm.
variant is one that we have used because it is the one that really showcases what Purify really can do. But yeah, the compromise is sensitivity. So you
Sensitive
do need, yeah, you do need some power for it,
power.
but it can
Okay.
really, in such a small speaker as the E50, you get insanely deep bass
Mm.
for the size of the speaker. But
Okay.
yeah, you need some power to really drive
Okay.
it well.
And is available also in different sites. And what about speed also?
Different sides.
Yeah, the woofer is available in the
Oh yeah,
Purify
yeah,
woofer in
yeah.
different sites.
They
Mm.
make in a, yeah.
Okay.
It's by far the 6.5 inch that we use, that you see the most people use out there. But they also
Mm.
do have an 8, and I think the 10 inch is ready, and they have
Okay.
5 and a 4 inch as well. So they do have quite a few. We have done
Okay.
some testing with the 4 inch to kind of make
Mm.
a super compact speaker, but it's not a project that
Okay.
we're working on currently. But it's in our mindset.
Okay. What about how it sounds? It sounds natural. What about speed, for example?
Yeah, it sounds extremely good. It sounds very
Mm,
clean. It's
okay.
very fast, and I think the best way to put it is that it is extremely transparent. It doesn't have
Mm,
coloration, and it doesn't have any breakups, which is
mm,
wonderful because that is something that nearly all woofers have. When you're
okay.
going, if you are using it in higher frequencies, then they have the tendency to do breakups, which is huge peaks in the response.
Mm,
But the X variant in paper, which is the one that we use, it doesn't have any breakups, so it's very
mm,
easy to work with in a
okay.
crossover, and you can use lower crossover slopes on it to make a
Okay.
more simple filter for it or crossover.
Explain breakups. So you mean you can push it very high in frequency? That's what you want to
No, no,
say?
it's
Mm,
well, you have a working area for a woofer that is
mm,
typically for bass up into the mid range, and when you want to cross it over to a tweeter,
mhm,
then woofers at typically for 6.5 inch, they can have breakup points where the material start to act out at
mm,
around 4,000 kilohertz, or 4,000 hertz and above. And the Purifi woofer just drops off very smooth in its response.
mm,
So it doesn't give some artifacts that some other woofers
okay.
can. So
Okay.
that's the meaning of it.
And I saw you guys now in the new E50, in the S400 and P300. You use the iconic 5 inch long stroke passive radiator, so the
Yeah,
long one.
yeah,
And you guys now are using two of them, right?
yeah. We
Ex
had to
Explain this. Mm,
yeah we the 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 passive radiator we use in the S400 and S300, it doesn't have enough power or
mm,
to be used with the Purifi woofer, because the Purifi woofer is
okay.
so much more powerful than the drivers we're using in the S400. It will simply make the passive radiator yeah um, make when you crank the volume, it will sound very bad. So we needed something that has more cone area and longer stroke for in
Mm-hmm.
a passive radiator. And we worked with SB Acoustics on that. Luckily, their engineering team is only 40 kilometers from our headquarters here in Denmark. So they custom designed a woofer for us that has extremely long stroke. So that works, and of course we use it without a magnet since it's a passive radiator, and that worked perfectly with the Purifi woofer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why we changed.
Okay. Explain this. Explain why a passive radiator, because we have so much base reflex design, rear base reflex design out there. Some front, but
Yeah,
not few passive radiator. Explain why you went with this type of design.
yeah. Well, then get the full story, we need to go back to 2013, where we actually
Mm-hmm.
started Buchardt Audio, because one of the speakers, the S200, was designed with a passive radiator. It actually looks quite similar to the setup of the E50, with you have two individual passive radiators. Back then, it was extremely rare that you saw passive radiators being used in speakers, and I remember going on shows, people they couldn't understand how the speaker could play such low bass or deep bass as they could, and sound so full, yet from an extremely small cabinet. And many didn't know what it was. Many didn't have ever heard about passive radiators. Of course, it has been used. There's nothing. It's not like we invented that. But I think we were one of the companies that started to make passive radiator use more commercial, more normal in the hi-fi industry. So now we see a lot of speakers that use passive radiators. If it was because we used it so much, I don't know, but many use them now because they have distinct benefits over a
Mm-hmm.
bass reflex port, and that is particular that if you want to make a compact speaker that has deep bass extension, then passive radiators are perfect. Of course, the The downside of passive radiators is that they cost a lot more to use than a simple bass reflex port.
Okay.
So if you care about the size of the speakers like we do, then it's a perfect choice. And you tune
Okay.
the passive radiator like you have different length of ports. That's the way that you tune a port. And if you want to tune a bass reflex design very deep in the bass, you need a large cabinet because the port needs to be very long. And for passive radiators, you tune them by adding some weight on the back of the woofer, and that is how you can change the tuning of
Okay.
those. And they of course don't have any port chuffing noise and port compression, so they do have a lot of benefits over a port.
Okay. So we can say that is more expensive. What about distance from the back wall? Because when you look reviews, reviewer are always saying keep the speaker far away from the back wall, 1 feet, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet. But people don't have this space.
No,
That's
and
also something that we have to say. You know, people don't have this space. And what about passive radiator is compared to a base reflex design? Can you go a little bit more closer to the back wall or not?
you can go closer to a back wall
Mm.
because the issue with a port that are firing backwards is if you are going very close to a wall. I'm talking this close
Mm.
maybe. Then the port thinks that it is longer than it is, and you are actually changing the tuning of the port that way. But there is also a big misconception that backfiring ports, then you can't bring the speakers close to a wall, and it's better to have a front firing or a down firing port. You're talking these distances. As long as you have just a little bit of
Mm.
space to the back wall, then it doesn't really matter where the port is. And same with the passive radiators. The frequencies those are working at are omnidirectional, so they don't care about the orientation of where they are. So yeah, it's our speakers can go close to the wall, but I think why many recommend more distance is because when you have a speaker that has deeper bass extension or lower bass extension, then it sets higher requirements to how close it can go to a wall, because
Mm.
you are struggling with more of your room gain issues and room modes. So in those cases, I will always recommend that if people need to use speakers close to a wall, then get room correction, or at least um, an equalizer, so that you can dial back some of the added bass that you get from it.
Mm. Okay, let's go back a little bit on the E50, a little bit more in details. And I know you guys that on the S400 and P300 used a waveguide
Mm.
that people should not confusing with horn tweet or something like that, because it's not, right. It's just a waveguide. Okay. And now there is these integrations in the cabinet. Is all
Mm.
handmade by you guys. Look really beautiful. I think is a long process also to do, and not easy, right?
Yeah, it is, and
Mm.
the cabinets are made out of solid wood, so it's not veneered MDF.
Mm.
And the front baffle is 28 millimeters thick, so that we can CNC carve the waveguide directly into the wood. And that is something I personally think looks absolutely amazing to have that.
Okay.
And when you see it in reality,
Mm.
it really showcase craftsmanships and quality. And the same thing with the how the cabinets are assembled with finger joints. But yeah, it's a different waveguide than what we have used so far, because we are now using a different treater. It's quite a bit of a
Yeah.
larger treater than we have used before, and this is a custom-made treater that we
Mm.
have worked with ScanSpeak on. And so we of course need to design a new waveguide. And the ideas of why you want to use a waveguide is that you can control the activity, how the speaker
Mm.
spreads its sound, how the treater acts. And you want to design it so that at the crossover frequency, it works very well with the woofer that you are using. That is one of the main goals of it. But it also have a lot of other benefits, like it will boost naturally boost some of the lower frequencies of the tweeter, so it doesn't have to work as hard for producing sound. So you can lower the distortion of the tweeter quite a bit. by using it, and of course extending the how the frequencies act at the very high frequencies. So normally a tweeter will just narrow very much at the high
Mm.
frequencies, and we can kind of spread this out, and that is one of the things that makes our speakers sound very uniform no matter where you are in the room, and it also helps to let the speaker work with the reflected sound, so that the reflected sound has the same character as the direct sound of the speakers, and that helps a lot with creating a more clear soundstage presentation.
Okay. And it's true that this type of design is work really good with rooms that are not fully or are not acoustically treated.
Yeah, definitely. Waveguides, if designed properly, they help very much with the speaker working better in normal living rooms environments where you
Okay.
don't have fully treated room. So yeah, that is
Okay.
definitely one of the reasons also
All
that
right.
we use.
Okay. Explain to these customers that probably had purchased the S400 MK2 what should expect in terms of sound quality by
Yeah,
purchasing the new E50.
yeah. So when we designed the E50, we knew that many of our current customers will be interested in is it worth upgrading from the
Mhm.
S400 to the E50. So we wanted it to be a real big step uh, towards the end goal of audio nirvana. It's so the big difference, I think, is of course that you have now a speaker that has a lot more reach in the bass. That's the first thing I think many will notice when they get it. It can play significantly deeper bass than the S400. So the
Mm.
E50, it absolutely doesn't need a subwoofer. You can always add a subwoofer. It can be beneficial to add a subwoofer always if you know how to integrate them. That's the next problem with subwoofers typically. But it works very well without it. It can also it sounds much cleaner when you are playing louder than the S400 does. But one of the other things that I think many will notice is that it has a quite a bit wider soundstage. It has a more sort of a pitch black ground in the soundstage, and it's you have more air around the instruments. I think many that has experienced this know what I'm talking about. Many others
Mhm.
might not, but sort of a very deep and detailed soundstage that are very easy to listen to. The high frequencies are more clear and detailed, yet still more pleasing to listen to. Like it's sort of an odd combination where you have more detailed, yet it's still more enjoyable to listen to. It's less fatiguing in a way because the tweeter is of a very high quality. So I think that's some of the key areas that people will notice when they compare the two. And I think most people, if not all, will be impressed with how much more they get, because normally when you are up in this price category of speakers, you really need to pay a lot more money to get just small improvements. But
Yeah, you're right.
it is a big step above the S400, and that was the design goal of the E50.
Okay. And you said that actually it will be relatively, let's say, not really easy to drive. You need good amplifications, but customer they will that have already an amplification for the S400, they will need to change the amplifier or something like that for the new E50, or do you
Yeah,
think they can still work with the?
I think it's very hard for us to recommend amplifiers for people because it's very much a personal thing with how you consume audio. Some people
Mhm.
are in a small room and they don't listen very loud. Then you
Yeah.
can use a low powered amplifier.
Mm.
But others like to have a lot of headroom for dynamics or have a larger room or playing or generally play louder. Then you do need a much more powerful amplifier.
Mm.
But
Okay.
the sensitivity differences is around 2 dBs in comparison to the S400. So it's not like a whole lot, but
Okay.
yeah,
Not so
still
much.
considered a low sensitivity speaker, where we are
Mm.
just around 85 dBs of sensitivity on the E50.
Okay. There are something that you would like to add about the new E50? Maybe some sharing some details about crossover or something else?
Well, I don't think there is much more to share.
Mm.
We of course have a lot more on the E50, and when
Yeah.
we have the official launch today, was that
Yeah.
people can go read. There is a lot of detail about it, but I think it is a speaker that needs to be experienced for people. It's a speaker that is very different in its build quality and how it feels when you have it in your hand. How it looks. It looks much more like a piece of furniture than
Mhm.
some of our other speakers that are more designed to be more discreet in a room. So this is more of an attention grabber when you have it in a room. So
Okay.
so it's not only a great sounding speaker, it's also a great looking speaker. So
Okay.
yeah, I do hope that a lot of people are giving it a chance and trying it out.
And it will be is already available for in pre-order, right?
Yeah, it will be available for
Okay.
pre-order.
Okay, great. Do you have some expectations about shipment when it will be ready or?
Um, I think some of the first shipments will go out in near the end of December.
Okay.
And then we will start the main shipments after that. But some of
Okay.
the first ones that will pre-order will possibly get it in December. We still have a few parts that we need to gather, but the
Mm.
cabinet production has been in working on them for some time now. So we
Okay.
do
All right.
prepare for doing a lot of pairs on them. We know that many of our customers, existing customers, are going
Mhm.
to get the speaker. It's something that many have wished that we have designed for a long time. So it's nice to be able to fulfill many streams with it, and I hope
Okay.
people will be as happy as it with it as we are.
And this will be available only in wood finishes, right?
Yeah, but
Or
we have a very black, a stained black version
mm.
of it. You can still see the wood grain.
Mhm.
That's kind of the idea of it, but it is very black basically.
Okay.
And we are also working on some ways to make a more white variant of it. That's quite a bit harder. So it's not going to be released just now, but we might add that in a few weeks, maybe a month or so. So we'll have to see how we can treat the wood so it will be as white as we wanted it to be.
Okay. So nice to know that you guys are working on this,
Yeah.
and you guys managed to basically uh, s- let's say have the same retail price around the world, right?
Yeah.
With these sales direct to customer. Speak about this and speak about what there are advantages for sure for the final user, but what is meaning for Buchart Audio, because I think it also cutting the distributions there is some contra, right?
Mhm. Yeah, well, there are benefits and
Mm,
drawbacks of doing the direct sales model. The clear benefits is that we don't have to count in margins for distributors and retail stores, which is quite high. So there is a lot of money to be saved there. Then we of course have some shipping costs, and it depends on where people live in the world. We offer
mm,
free worldwide shipping. We also offer to pay the import cost for customers, so that the price that they will see on the website is their end price when they get it
mm,
to the door. We have everything insured, so that if anything should break or something do in the way, we will of course have them covered there. But yeah, the clear downside is that people need to buy the speakers before they can experience and hear them. So we do of course offer a 45 days to test them out, and if it's not working for the customer, we book a shipping back so that they don't have to ship it back themselves, because they can be very expensive depending on where you live. We of course have some extremely good deals on shipment, so we can do things very cheap in comparison to what private persons can do. So we offer to also book return shippings, which comes with a fixed €100 fees on a return shipping. So that's it. If you are willing to sacrifice maybe €100 to test them out, then it's worth doing it. Back when we started, we actually had no return fee, but it the issue with having no return fee is that people are just exploiting that, and that was very clear. So we had to just put in a fee so that people will not just test them just for fun without ever having an intent of keeping the speakers.
Okay. Do you have time to speak about the Sub 10? I think is a really interesting design.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, is a seated design, right? Look like a seated design.
what design?
Seated design?
Oh yeah, seal design.
Is
Yeah. It is a
okay,
seal
and
design.
okay, right. And because I was reading the specs, is not in the specs I couldn't find distortions and output level, but it look like it can cover
Yeah.
20 to 300 hertz. So specs looks really good and is very very compact. So how you guys achieve this?
Measurements are coming on it,
Okay.
so it will soon be available. The design goal of it was that we wanted to build a compact sub that wasn't intruding in a home. So it's a sub that is clearly built for people that want to hide it away. So it doesn't take up much space. It can be placed right up against the wall. It can be placed under your couch if you have space for that under the couch. And yeah, it's just a very versatile sub that has a lot of usable features. It has built-in room correction. It has a built-in equalizer so that you can adjust the sound if you want to. It has some of the things that are taken from our active speakers, what we call master tunings, which is different profiles depending on the use case. So if you want to, if you're using it in a small room and not playing very loud, maybe you want extremely deep bass. So you can install a tuning that will make it reach down to 16 hertz instead. And then we have the standard all-around tuning. Of course, when you're doing something, when you want to reach that deep into the bass frequencies, it will be sacrificed on how high or how loud it can play. So the all-round tuning, which they come with stock, is kind of an all-around versatile thing that has a respectable volume levels and also very deep bass reproduction. And then we have an high SPL, which is basically for party use or people that want to play really loud. And that will, of course, sacrifice some of the reach that it has. But yeah, it also have some extremely good features to help people integrate it well into the system, because that is the biggest problem with subwoofers, as I see it, is that most people they just get a boomy box in the corner, and it's never integrated well into the sound. You want a subwoofer to be part of the main speakers, and you want to not be able to hear it. So doing the integration process is something that does require time for the customer, and they need to be willing to put in the time to do that as well. So we have made some tools that you can connect to it with our app, and there you can set distance to it, and you can also adjust the latency and everything there from the app itself, so you don't have to go back to the sub all the time when you want to do adjustments. So yeah,
Okay. So
and
you
it's a 10-inch.
mentioned
Yeah,
yeah. Say 10
yeah,
inch woofer, yeah.
it's
So
a 10-inch woofer that is the main thing we have spent a lot of engineering on and a lot of time. We've gone through a lot of different custom woofer designs to find something that worked very well in such a small cabinet, because it doesn't have much to work with in terms of internal air. So it does need a lot of power to get going, but we wanted something that took well to the 400 watts we have RMS available for it, and I think we have achieved a subwoofer that has extremely high quality sound quality, but is also capable of playing reasonably loud. Now it's not going to compete with the big 15-inch subwoofer, of course, but I think for most normal listening rooms and living rooms, it will be plenty. Otherwise, you can
Okay.
add more of them if you want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will the app support multi subwoofer, right? Or
It you have, when you're looking in the app, you if you have two subs, it will just show up as two subs, and then you can do
okay.
individual things. But you can link them together, and the subwoofer also has wireless WiSA capabilities. So it's, if you are using our active speakers, then it can be paired up with them wirelessly. That's of course
Okay.
much easier if you want to place them different places in the room.
You mentioned room correction is done with the smartphone, or there is a special microphone that will come with the subwoofer?
All iPhones has been calibrated since the 6S, so those can be used, but they are not very accurate below 40 hertz. So we also have an add-on if you want to be more accurate with the room measurement. You can buy a Zen microphone, which is a wireless microphone that is dedicated to that, and also the active speakers we have. But I think for most people, they will actually be shocked how accurate the iPhones can be. Of course, there can be some misfires if you have dropped your phone, or there is a lot of dust in the microphones, something like that. But yeah, generally it does a very, very good job with the iPhones alone.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned this, because I have some app called Frequency Generator sometimes I play with, and I also noticed that under 40 hertz start to not respond anymore,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
There starts to be
that's
so much
why.
distortion in the phones, Mike. They can't handle it, so it's not accurate there.
Also because there are many brands that are using iPhone for subwoofer, and I don't know. I don't see it like a really reliable solution. You know, I always prefer an external one. I have the Umic one. You know
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
I think many of the people that like love to play with this stuff have Rumepool Wizard and Umic one. And there are trends in the audio industry. Are you most excited about? Did you see something interesting? Do you see any shift in how people are consuming high quality audio?
Well,
Should brands do something to get involved more people, more young generation, or things like that? Because I really would like to see
yeah,
to
we have
remain positive and
yeah,
see more young
yeah,
people. It's not easy, but I would like really.
yeah. There are definitely some trends in the audio industry. We do see more active speakers, which is something that we have done for years now, being more and more popular. I think people are starting to get to know that they can have their benefits. For us as speaker designers, it's lovely to work with active speakers because you don't have to take all the compromises that you do on passive speakers. But I think also we are seeing a trend where measurements on speakers are getting more and more important, because reviewers are getting access to very nice measurement gear, and so for many it's important that speakers are measured well, but it also has its drawbacks if people only are looking at measurements, because us as designers, if we only were to design a speaker to have perfect measurements, it to me it doesn't sound all that good. It sounds great, but it's not it will not give you this magical feeling. Of course, it's important to use measurements as a tool, because it's a very powerful tool, and it serves as all the basics and the fundamentals of speaker designs. So a speaker needs to be relatively frequency flat, because otherwise it will give a wrong picture of how the recording actually is. But it's not everything. and there are many things that I believe we can't measure currently. I think many years from now we will know more, and it will be interesting to see where the industry is going. So yeah, that's I think that's some of the different trends. Of course, also that speaker designs appearance in general, the past few years has become more and more minimalistic and some very futuristic looking. I think the E50 is sort of and funny combination of the old world meets the new world, because we have the best tech available in the Purifi Woofer, of course, but we have a very old and tested, tried and as a beloved Scanspeak dome tweeter, which nowadays everything is about beryllium and these ribbon treaters and all that stuff. But so it's kind of a speaker that meets the old and the new world together, and also it looks more like a piece of furniture instead of a futuristic Tesla car or something. But yeah, so yeah, that's sort of some of the trends that I'm seeing. But I'm exciting to see what the future brings for the hi-fi industry. I hope that many more a younger generation will join it, so that it won't die out. But I don't think it would die out. I do see that we have a lot of younger generation customers, so it's nice to see that there are life in it, and the hi-fi industry has a bright future, I think.
Speaking about future plans, and looking the Buchardt audio portfolio, there are I don't see passive floor standing speaker, and I
No,
don't
not yet.
see center channels for home theater. Is
Yeah.
something that could be interesting for you guys, or you are not focused, or you are focused on other project for the moment?
The passive Floorstander is something that people has been nagging us about for many years now, and we have done a lot of prototypes.
Okay.
The issue with passive Floorstanders, and we have an active Floorstander, but the main issue is that, like I said, when you're doing passive speakers, you are taking a lot of compromises in comparison to active speakers. So the two-way speaker, like all the passive speakers we have, is to me sort of a perfect balance of compromises. When you're doing a 2.5-way and a 3-way speaker, you have a lot of crossover points. That is and typically an compromise, but it can also be a benefit because you're getting lower distortion for some of the woofers, and you can get more bass extension depending on what you're using. But yeah, we are working on something that might be quite different from what we have done so far in terms of how it's designed. But we will definitely be coming with a Floorstander. That's no doubt. But yeah, I think the E50 is a great example now, using the Purifi woofer, that you can now make a design a stand mount speaker that has all the qualities of two-way stand mount speakers, all the benefits of them, but still have some of the things that people want in a Floorstander, which is typically more reach in the bass regions and more output capabilities. So it has both of them. So it sounds like a Floorstander, but it still keeps all the qualities of the two-way bookshelf speaker.
Okay. What about center channels? Is something that
Center channels is well, we have many customers are actually just buying a single speaker, like a single P300 or S400, because it works great as a center channel. Then you have the exact same speaker as your left and right. So, but a dedicated center channel is we have of course thought about that, same as small rear channels as well. But I think that will mainly be in the active division. So I don't have any plans for a passive center channel at this time. But if people keep requesting it, then of course we will need to to move on it. But like I said in the beginning, we do few products that we want to do extremely well and we take our time on instead of doing a lot of products. We really want to keep focus on what we do best.
Okay. And aside from your own designs, are there any brands or speaker designer who have influenced you? Is there a particular speaker you enjoy listening to? So that's
There are,
outside Buchardt Audio.
yeah, there are, but it's not a brand that are in business anymore. But it's actually
Okay.
an old Danish brand called Hifi. Yeah, no, but it's some people know what it is, and it's something that has a very distinct sound character. But yeah, I heard a system unlike anything I've ever heard in my life. And actually, years ago, when I talked an interview like this with Jay, I mentioned the same system because it was just on a completely different level. But it was it was kind of an odd system. But yeah, that's sort of a sound profile that I will just fell completely in love with. It was both extremely transparent and lively, but still so enjoyable to listen to. It has not a hint of fatigue when you're listening to that system, even if you are extremely sensitive to those parts. So that's some of the system that or one of the things that's yeah, kept with me. And I have actually gone and listened to that system multiple times with maybe years apart, and I'm equally impressed every time I hear it. So
Okay.
yeah, but
So
it's
you can
yeah.
still find it.
Yeah, no,
Do you have it, or is
no,
it
I don't
different?
have it, but
Okay.
luckily it's close by. One of my friends owns that system, and yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy system. It's not a system that people can get in a room. It's very odd in many ways, and many things are battery powered,
Okay.
and you are listening to CDs in quattro, so you have 4 speakers actually, and that's also one of the things that, but the tonality of the system is
Okay.
absolutely crazy. So that's of course some of the things that we are trying to use as a reference point, and some of the some of the way that we or the direction that we want to go.
Okay.
So I hope that it can be shared with more people out there.
Okay. There is something else that you would like to add to this interview?
Well, I think we have gone through nearly anything, and yeah, I would just like to say thank you for bringing me on here.
Thank you too.
It was lovely to speak with you, and I hope that your audience find this interesting.
Thank you too. Thank you too for your time, and good luck, guys, with the new speaker. And we will see today, right? The specs online.
Yeah,
Today is 25th October, and there is a time is coming. The
eight,
lunch is
8 o'clock tonight,
8 o'clock.
our
All
time.
right.
So yeah,
Okay, super. Thank you very much, Mads.
thank you.
See you.
Okay, see
Ciao,
you.
ciao.
Bye.